Well, we'll skip international business stories to look at this pressing concern escalating in South Africa as we speak. The country's National Union of Metalworkers, called NUMSA, has announced a strike at the ArcelorMittal South Africa Ltd premises beginning, of course, today because of job cuts that we've seen. There's going to be a protest. The protest has actually started right now, and that particular job cuts will affect about 107 employees. And NUMSA has come out to state that they will not allow this go down, even as employees will be losing their jobs. Now, the union claimed that members felt provoked into going or embarking on industrial action after the conclusion of the layoff process. So right now, joining us live from the picketing site in Vanderbijlpark, ArcelorMittal South Africa, is the spokesperson, National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa, Phakamile Hlubi-Majola. Phakamile, it's nice to have you around.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, so let's quickly have an understanding. What actually led to the decision by ArcelorMittal South Africa to lay off over 100 workers, and what is the implication of that on those affected?
So the situation that's facing workers is that in August of this year, ArcelorMittal South Africa informed us as a union that they needed to shut down a section of one of the plants, section 6 and 7 of the coke ovens. They said that this particular section was old, that it was not operating at its full potential, pardon me, and that this particular aspect of the plant was not as productive, and therefore they had, in their view, no option but to close it down because of the extremely high maintenance costs. Now, the impact of that is that it will affect at least 107 workers. And when the consultation around this, what we call Section 189, was concluded in late October, early November, ArcelorMittal immediately instituted the dismissals. So for us, this became an issue of really of survival for these 107 workers and their families, because the fact is, we feel that ArcelorMittal South Africa did not explore enough alternatives to prevent retrenchments. At the same time, why we're raising this as a union is that we are well aware of the fact that the majority of these workers may not find employment if these dismissals are finalized.
Oh, okay, so Phakamile, you just talked about
going on strike is just an attempt to try and find alternatives with the company.
Okay, Phakamile, you just talked about a battle for survival for the workers. What about the company itself? Because ArcelorMittal reported a loss of about 1.11 billion rand. We're talking $61.63 million in the last 6 months, running up till about, I think, June 30 this year, which actually widened from another loss of 448 million rand in the same period. So when you look at this and the impact it is having on the company itself, isn't that reason enough to downsize rather than having to shut down?
So there are alternatives that the company could have explored. For example, there are many workers in ArcelorMittal who are close to retirement age who would have wanted voluntary severance packages or early retirement packages. ArcelorMittal did not even want to engage on that possibility. There are other alternatives, such as approaching the South African government to place some of these workers on what we call a training layoff scheme, which is a scheme where the government can fund, if there's your business or an aspect of your business is not doing well, the government department can step in and assist with cushioning workers with salaries while some form of training is offered, so that we don't have to rush to dismissals. And our problem is that they don't even want to engage on these options. And this is why we're saying this has unfortunately led to workers feeling as if this is a company that doesn't want to engage, that's not interested in assisting with the greater national project of preventing job losses. And so our members feel that the only way to get their attention is to go on strike in order to try and hopefully persuade them to come back to the table so that we can have a discussion on these alternatives to try and either reduce or to at least mitigate in terms of salaries the impact of these job losses.
Now, even ArcelorMittal, has been described as Africa's biggest steel producer, Phakamile. A lot of people are wondering that if this retrenchment exercise carries on or there is an industrial action in the country, it might impact South Africa's economy because when you look at the steel industry as a money spinner for the country, are you not concerned about this?
Of course we're concerned, but I think people must also understand that ordinary workers have been at the brunt of experiencing what a poor economy is for the longest time. So you can talk about business and business needing intervention, but the question is, when do workers get intervention? And I think ultimately, when you have these conversations, you can't exclude how workers are directly impacted by the performance of the economy. The reality is that when the economy is good, companies don't give back to workers when the economy is good. They pocket those profits. So now the economy is not doing well, which means workers are doing even worse than they were when things were good. And unfortunately, the only weapon that workers have when conditions are bad is to go on strike. So if employers want to prevent strike action and ensure that they have continuous uninterrupted production, then employers must take deliberate steps to prevent workers from embarking on industrial action. And that would mean engaging unions in a meaningful way so that we can work together to find solutions that will persuade workers not to embark on strike action as a means to try and be heard when it comes to these issues.
Well, we just hope that NUMSA and the management of ArcelorMittal will be able to come to the table soon, because we're looking at the impact it would have on the workers' job loss. So, of course, everybody's looking at job security, but in the country where we have this kind of situation play out, it might just be affecting a lot of people who actually work for that particular company and the country that actually prides itself in steel production. Thank you so much, Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, spokesperson NUMSA, for sharing your thoughts with us and giving us the updates on the show. We appreciate that.